that there. There you go. There you go. Let me sit down like an old man. Let me sit down like an old man. Like an old man. Like an old man. Because I'm old. But there you go. So I'm doing this in a bit of a random way. As he says, he's got some randoms. Look at that. So I'm just doing what I do. And if you're watching on TikTok, then go to my YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you probably not because I can't see anyone there. Then go to TikTok. If you're watching on Facebook, then go to Twitter. If you're on LinkedIn, then go to Facebook. I don't know. Just putting it out there. But it's been a good day. And hopefully you can hear me. I've got no better checking. But regardless, I'll crack on anyway. In about 15 minutes, my meal for one is going to be ready. So I'll have to dash off over that way and then come back again. But I'll show you how quickly I can do that when the time comes. I think I want to do my usual review of the week. And after, hello, I can't see your name, but hello, whoever just said hello. I can't do my usual and not moan about something because that wouldn't be normal. And I'm only joking when I moan. But this week's been a bit mental because, in fact, it's going to be even more mental next week as well. Loads of stuff going on in terms of support for people. Loads of support, but now that includes me, right? That includes me. So I'm trying to change my doctors, right? In case anyone didn't know, I broke my leg. So I'm trying to change my doctors, and I've gone from Eltham, who have been giving me fit notes, and I've gone to a doctor's around here in Swanley. And I've filled out everything on the internet, and I've done everything I need to do. But guess what? No one answers their phone. On the internet, it says call them. So I call them, and then you're calling. Yesterday, I went from number 2 in the queue to not getting through to anyone, but just ringing. No, it wasn't yesterday, the day before yesterday. I've lost a day, but there you go. And then so that's that. So I'm like actually trying to get my doctors sorted around here, and it's nearly impossible. Anyone would have thought I don't pay my taxes, and I do. I have done my whole life, working forever. And there's no home care either, and there's no home care. Jeez. Yeah, that's a side story. So what a week, right? So we've got a massive week coming next week, yeah. And I know there's people. I want to say sorry to a few people who have been trying to get hold of me. And not being able to. The reason it's 1 o'clock now and I'm doing this is because I've been speaking to people tonight, and it's got to this point in the morning. And if someone wants to call me still that I've not spoken to, that I should have spoken to today, then you'll be speaking to me later on today after I've had a nap and got myself sorted for what will be another day. So another day of typing, getting things finished, deadlines for people, and supporting people, new people coming in. What is really important to acknowledge and recognize is that the people who are working, allowing me to work for them at the moment, and there's a few, thank you for letting me work for you, because what we do and how we do it is not easy. And if it was easy, people would be doing it all the time, and they're not, quite simply. And the reason they're not is because what we do is not easy, and what we help you do is not easy. And that's why we get positive results, because what we do and how you go about it is not the normal sort of way. And I want to recognize people who don't necessarily always agree with my way, or the philosophy that I follow. And I respect that. And I respect that totally, because you've got to do what's right for your family. And when you've got a majority of people saying, do this, and that's what everyone's done forever, and that's what everyone's done throughout time, then inevitably you're going to want to carry on doing what everyone else is doing. You don't want to stand like a lone nut in a field doing things in a different way like I do, and like I help others do, and which is why we get the results that we get. So in time, people will see. You'll see already this year with the positive results that we've had or helped our clients get. And not only that, these clients, hello over there on TikTok, these clients are, a lot of them are not really naturally as confident as, well, no one's as confident as what they should be when you come in to see with us, because you've just lost your house, you've just lost your wife, you lost your kids. So no one's in the best possible place, are they? So but there's also your anxiety and your mental health and that sort of stuff on top of that. And I think I just need to salute everyone, really, because anyone who's working with me, I challenge. I mean, we do challenging stuff, but we don't do things the way most people would. But then we do things with respect, and we do things with integrity, and we do things trying to point out the best possible way we can to show the court that we are correct in what we're saying, but we're doing it in a humble way that allows us to achieve what we achieve, and the individuals achieve what they achieve, because it's them doing it. I'm just by their side and guiding them. And this week in particular, there's been a few people who are really, I can't say their names obviously because I'm not going to, but there's 3 people who have really fucking stepped up in terms of not believing in themselves in the first instance, and to really having some strong doubts about themselves and what they're able to do. And today was amazing. Watching what happened and unfold and how it unfolded with my client was amazing, because he is just amazing. He doesn't realize how strong and how good he is, and how lucky his daughter is to have him as a dad, and how much of a good dad he is. And that's the problem. That is the problem, right? There's enough dads there that are questioning their own parenthood. They're questioning whether or not they're good enough to be dads, because they've had their ex-partners denigrate them, put them down, to make them feel useless, make them feel terrible, and make them feel that they're not good enough dads. And that's I felt like it in the past. When I was going through my breakup, it was awful. It was the worst time of the year. Worst time of the year, worst time of my life. You go from having your family and your daughter and your home that you put your life savings in, and you end up with nothing. I ended up with a shirt on my back, and 10 years later, I find myself not in a better place. I'm always in a much better place in terms of everything, in terms of life, in terms of everything, because I just don't think that I've got any more anger. When I went after my first case, and anyone who will back this who's had multiple cases in family court, your first case is always the worst case, because you are literally shoving everything out there. And that's what you want to be doing in your first case. You want to be shoving everything out, and you want to be pulling your pants down and saying, this is our relationship. This is how it was. This is what it was. And I made mistakes here. And own your shit, basically. We know the score. Yeah. Anyone who knows what was the mantra that we have, it's like, own your shit. Remain card focused. Be humble. Always be wanting to learn. Take new advice. Say that you're not, own your shit, and then say you're not perfect and you want to learn and be better, and then offer compromise and sacrifice. If you do those things and you follow those behaviors, ultimately you will end up doing what's right for your children, because they don't want to see the parents conflict. They don't want to see parents at war. What you will find, and the review of the week, as we're talking about, is solicitors who will ultimately go out of their way to create conflict between you and your ex-partner. They will go out of their way to make you, if they're representing the mum, they will go out of their way to make the dad not do anything wrong, but have enough of an argument, to be able to bring it up in court. And what you need to remember, right, and this is what I was saying, when you're dealing with the solicitors, yes, they will say in court, this is a reflection of how he would behave at home. This is a reflection of da-da-da. So you've got to make sure that when you're gunslinging, I call it the Wild West with solicitors. I call it the Wild West, and I think they will bring it up when you get into court. You need to be ready to defend why you've said what you said and why you've done what you've done, because they will try and belittle you. They've got a job to do. They've got to make you look bad. And if you do not go into court ready, and even if it means breaking the odd rule that you've been told to stick to a certain amount of pages, but your evidence has gone over those pages, then put your evidence in. Just put it in, because I guarantee you the judge will have to look at it. And then if the judge has to look at it, it's going to go into their head. So then they can see whether they want to dismiss it, and they probably will dismiss it if it's not allowed in. If they want to be, if the other side is really, really anal, because they know they've got in that pack would be stuff that would bury their client. So they want that dismissed, but the judge has already seen it. So that's going to play a part in any decision the judge makes. Like it or lump it, that's what it is. And that's what happens. So you will get, again, you might get a slap on the wrist for putting too much evidence in. But then at least you've got your picture request. It's a slap on the wrist. Yeah, it's a slap on the wrist versus a slap on, would you have a slap on the wrist and get what you are asking for? Because what you're asking for is within reason. And even still not even within reason, you probably could be asking for more, but you're not pushing your luck because you're showing respect to people. You need to, as I said to someone today, you need to be ready to stand your ground in the most politest possible way. And that is the most difficult thing to do in the world, because when you're going when you're in the eye of the storm, and when you're fighting for your kids, and when you're trying the hardest to, you don't know where all these allegations come from. You don't understand why you're, why you can't just co-parent or can't be just civil with each other. And then you don't understand why you've got lies or exaggerations being told about you. So it's like you're defending your corner. Naturally, you're going to be angry. Naturally, you're going to be pissed off. So whenever as professionals come in and speak to you, you're going to be fucking, I was short, I was direct, and I am anyway. But I was rude as well, and I was disrespectful. And that delayed my case. And the influence, and this is what people need to understand, and I say it 100 times. People need to understand, your decisions are not made in your courtroom. Yeah? Court advisors make those decisions. Social workers make these decisions. Yeah? You do not the judge will make the final decision. He'll put the stamp on it. Yeah. But if you've got a court, or if you've got a CAFCAS officer or a social worker that you've been rude to, and they're writing a report about whether or not you get to see your kids, and you've been rude to them, what chance do you have of seeing your kids? That'll be the Is anyone else cold? Is anyone else cold? Is it like cold anywhere else around here, or is it just me? So yeah, where was I? So you've got to be ready to go to war. Not go to war. War's not war. It's not war. It's not war. And you can't see it as war, because if you see it as war, then you've already lost. Ultimately, you go into family court like war, you've already lost. You've got to go into family court with love. You've got to go into family court with empathy. You've got to go into family court owning your shit. And you've got to go into family court seeing life and seeing the situation through the eyes of your child. And that would mean sacrifice. And that would mean you're going to make compromise, because that's what you do for your child. The amount of people that I speak to that would do anything for their child, would walk through walls for our kids, would kill for our kids, would do anything for our kids. But we can't end conflict with our ex-partners. I can. I mean, I don't have any issue with my ex-wife. She has an issue with me, and to this day, it makes it difficult for my daughter to have a normal, loving relationship. And I think that's fine, because me and my daughter have found a way of coping and dealing with it, but not everyone else has that. Not everyone else has got that relationship that I've got with my daughter. And my ex-wife has tried many things to influence my relationship with my daughter. But all she does is push my daughter closer, because my daughter knows that I'll always be there for her. My daughter knows the only reason I'm where I'm at today in where I live now is to be close enough to make sure that I'm close to my daughter. Because when she needs me, I'll be there to pick things up. I'll be there to pick up the pieces. And that's, again, I salute someone today who literally blew my mind. Like, he's done everything and more than what. And I love it when people go there. I love it when people go, do you know what? I'm in this situation. What do I need to do to get to where I need to go? And you can't put money on it, because you need to hope that you get a decent judge. You need to hope your judge can see sense, and you need to hope your judge can see what you can see. And generally, if you present yourself in the right way, I think they do. But that means keeping your mouth shut at times, and that means not talking at times. That means letting them get on with what they need to get on with. And it's difficult, because you've got a solicitor slagging you off, making you what makes you think you're looking bad to the judge. But the judge can see what the judge can see. There's a lot about body language. There's a lot about, they deal with this shit day in and day out. That's why I don't really like myself too much afternoon hearings. I'll tell you why. Because you've got a judge there that's probably been sat through like four or five hearings in the morning, depending on the telephone or CVP or whatnot. And then you get into the afternoon, and that judge is going to be stressed out. It's going to be pissed off. It's had loads of shit to deal with all day. So you get to the end, and you're like, oh, I get to the end, you're like, I mean, my quickest ever hearing was concluded in 6 minutes. 6 minutes from beginning to end. Mental. Now, tandems, by the way, are very good. Am I a McKenzie? Yes. Yes, I am. I am a McKenzie friend, yes. But I've not had a chance to be on check social media or nothing all day. So I do apologise to anyone who's messaged me. I'm just looking at Facebook there, and there's like 20 or 40 notifications. So there's loads there to catch up on. But I feel in order to celebrate the people that I want to celebrate, I can't celebrate them by name, but they will know when they see this, whether it be today or whether it be tomorrow or whether it be next week. They will see it, and I just want to recognise how much they've come out of their comfort zone and how much they went against the grain in terms of doing what they didn't think was possible, or they didn't think would get the results that we'd get, because it was new and because it goes against what other people might think or say in those given situations. And I think that there, salute you for daring to be different, is what I say. And I think that's why, if you get in, I keep seeing this, what do you call it? Was it when you got a poster with words on it? I don't know, memes, that's it, memes, right? And it's got Einstein in the back of it. And it's like, you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. You've got so many people going into family courts, all doing the same thing, and you're all getting the same results. But if you look around and you look at what people are doing, and you see people doing things differently, and they're getting different results, first thing you're going to do generally is you're going to slag off the person because you're going to think they're doing something wrong, or you're jealous of them, whatever. And I get that, because I get that all the time. So it doesn't bother me. However, you get some people who will be like, oh, what are you doing? How's it working? What are you doing there? And I'm happy to tell anybody. I'm happy to tell anyone and share what I do with anyone, but because it takes a certain amount of courage, confidence, belief in yourself, belief in me, belief in what you're doing, knowing the truth. And as long as you've got the truth on your side as well, that's one thing you need to remember. Well, as long as you've got the truth on your side, you can never go wrong. Never. And to make sure you can tell the truth, you have to make sure you're owning your shit. You own your shit. So when you fuck up, you say you fucked up. You say you fucked up. You know what? You become more credible. You become more normal. You're a human being. Your shit stinks as much as anybody else's. Yeah. Look at the person next to you. If it's a cat, say hello, cat. Look at the person that side to you. If it's a Smurf, say hello, Smurf. But ultimately, you are the one that has to own it. Own your shit. Take responsibility. That doesn't mean throwing yourself under a bus and saying, COVID-19 was your fault, because COVID-19 would be your fault anyway. If you got an ex-missus, anything like mine, everything's my fault. Not spoken to her for 10 years, but it's still my fault. But there you go. So that's that. So well done to anyone who's daring to be different, and well done to everybody who just does not kick off in court, and well done to anyone who holds their fucking ground and holds their nerve and challenges the judge in the most respectful, nice, challenging, respectful way that you can get. Well done to anyone that dares to do that, because that is not an easy thing to do, because you're getting challenged and you get made to feel like you should be doing something different or saying something different, and you're standing there holding your own while you've got a barrister or a solicitor on the other side giving it all welly because they think they're better than you. They think they know better than you, but they don't, because they've got to deal with somebody who's getting, they've got to deal with third-hand information. They've got to get information from somebody to be able to tell their story to the court, to the judge, to be able to convince the judge that person is telling the truth and they're right and proper. But they don't know that person. That person's telling porky pies. That person's exaggerating on stuff. But you've got the truth. So you just stick to the truth. And if that means saying, do you know what? I snatched the keys out of her hand and I broke a nail. And I've known that to happen before. And the person go to court, criminal court, for breaking someone's nail. And the judge laughed at it off in criminal court and gave him like a £20 fine because that was the minimum you could give. But that shit happens. That shit does happen. What can you do? What can you do indeed? What can you do? Well, what you can do is not argue. Don't play the same rules. Don't play by the same game. Don't even fucking entertain it. If they're going to expect you, because generally what's going to happen, right? They're going to expect you. Say, for example, you argue with your partner. They're going to send you a text message. They're going to send you a text message saying something that they know that's going to get a response out of you. If you know they're sending something that they're going to get a response out of you, and you see the text message come through, and you're like, oh, your blood's boiling, and you can't control how you're treating them back or saying back, then that's where you're going wrong. Because you need to be able to control what you're doing back. I was not very good at it back in the day. I've got a mouth, I've got a tongue, and most people, when my tongue is used properly, appreciate that. But then some people who, when I just ran off my mouth and talk too much, don't appreciate that, because sometimes back in the day, I wouldn't think about what I was saying and I would just spit it out. And sometimes that would offend people, but that's never intentional. There you go. I can't change that now. I can't change the past. What can you do? But now these days, nothing pisses me off. Nothing phases me. Nothing people can say. It really doesn't bother me, because the only person that judges me is me, and no one is my biggest critic is me. And if I make a mistake, I'll own it, and I do own it, and I'll be like, yeah, fucked up. So what can I do? I'm sorry. If people don't want to accept my apology and the actions that I implement to rectify the problem, and they want to be angry, then be angry. But life's too short to be angry, because trust me, you could fall over, you could slip over some ice with some walking sticks, crutches, and break 2 legs. That would be a pain in the ass, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be a pain in the ass, it would be a pain in the leg, because it's, yeah. That's right. So we spoke about solicitors. We spoke about coming out of your comfort zone. What else can we speak about? I'm going to get on with some work. That's right, Jason. You're going to get on some work? Well, I could do, couldn't I? I've got loads to do. So I could, and I shall, and I should. Hello. Commented. Hello. So yeah, about that. If you know that you're going, that's a good point. If you know, that's a good question. If you know that you're going to go into what do you call it? If you know someone, your partner is going to be one of the only people that knows you, or ex-partner would be one of the only people that knows you as well as they do know you. They know that they're going to pull your buttons, press your buttons, piss you off, wind you up. Then why would you let that happen? Why would, if you know that's going to happen, why would you let that happen? Why would you let that happen? Why? Because you know it's going to happen, because you can't control your mind. You're letting your mind control you. And that's not how it works. It's not how it works at all. You need to make sure that you control your mind. And to do that, you need to make sure that you're... I hate it when barristers like my page, because I just know that they don't like me. And it's like, fuckers. Don't matter, they can stay. They can stay. Ultimately, though, at the end of the day, it gets dark. And you've got to do what you need to do to get to where you need to go. I believe that if you do things with respect and take away the emotion from what you're doing and the situation that you find yourself in, and do not react straight away. This is something I've learned not to do. Don't react straight away. Do not react straight away. It's the most important thing, because what you'll find is the reaction that you give will be the reaction that they will pounce on, and could be the reaction that would throw you over the bus or throw you over the boat, so to speak. And that's a pure fact. And another thing here, solicitors, right? When I can't keep saying this, I can't keep saying the same shit, right? When you're litigant in person, and if you're litigant in person, that means self-representing, McKenzie Friend or not, whatever the case might be. You cannot, if a solicitor's calling you, because they will always call you an hour before, you get criticised for this in court as well. Yeah, fuck it. You're going to get criticised for everything. So it makes no difference whether you're going to be getting criticised for fucking tying your shoelace up the wrong way, or getting criticised for something worth getting criticised for. I say get criticised for something worth getting criticised for, because it's the Wild West. It's solicitors, and they will bully you, and they will try and make you feel like you have to do stuff that you don't want to do, and they will fucking support the emotional and psychological abuse that is put on you by the system itself. The system allows that to happen. When does I said to someone earlier, when does the allegations that you are the abuser, when does that stop? Even though you go finding the facts and there's nothing upheld, and so when does that stop? And when does what they're doing to you become abuse? When the man is getting the abuse, when does that turn into abuse? Because we take on so much shit. It's unbelievable. I can tell you multiple stories whereby communication has taken place between parties, and people have responded respectfully for a certain amount of time, so much time, and then they get the curveball, or they get something really, really shitty back at them, and then it's like, okay, fine, then they've overstepped the line. So you have to put them back in place and say, look, that's not acceptable. You feel this way, do this, and you're a bit more direct, and maybe say things that no one else would dare say, but maybe want to say in a polite, respectful way. And guess what? You'll be the person that's getting in trouble for it. You'll be the person that gets to apologize for it. They will disregard anything that they've written about you, and even to the point where it's like it doesn't matter what they write about you. They could call you the biggest "see you next Tuesday" in the world, and the professionals be like, "No, yeah, but you did this 10 years ago, and you said her bum looked big," or whatever the case might be. It'll be something ridiculous, and then they'll support the other side. So, I've been 4 years with this. Yeah. See. Yeah, you could. Yeah, I can imagine. If you're in it, then you're in it. If you're in it, then you're in it. Ultimately, that's what it is. If you're in it, then it's difficult, because it's fucking. I've had 7 different cases with my ex-wife. This is for people down on Twitter and on TikTok. 7 different cases, right? So some of them were non-moles that were just thrown out on the hearing. The frustrating ones, and the first one's always the worst one. The first one was I behaved badly, and I was disrespectful. I was led by Fathers for Justice. I was angry, and I believe that fathers of justice are good to a certain degree, but I believe that they've out of tune with, like everyone else who's dealing with family law, I think out of tune with what should be happening. And I think there's a different way of looking at things. And I think if you look at things, well, in a different way and act in a different way, and don't let things get to you, as difficult as it is, because it's fucking difficult. Because it is difficult. Everything, we can all say this shit. I can sit here and say, oh yeah, don't react this, don't do that, don't this. Ultimately, I've been there. I've been there multiple times, and it's only after case number 4 out of the 7 that, because of my poor behaviour at the beginning and disrespectfulness for the court and disrespectfulness for the judge and all that sort of stuff, what could have been a much shorter case turned into being much longer, based on the fact that my own behaviour. But then you're going to see everybody on social media who will point the blame at the court. But ultimately, it's not the court who's doing that to you. It's you doing it to yourself, because you're letting your emotion rule the occasion. And I can speak like that because I was guilty of it. And I was guilty of it until I learned coping mechanisms to better deal with the shit that I was dealing with. And that, again, may be down to my parents not being there to teach me how to cope with shit or stressful stuff, or whatever the case might be. Who knows? Who cares? I can't blame anybody else for it apart from myself. That's it, ultimately. So it took me multiple years to turn that around. Multiple times my ex going back to court and withholding contact and going through the same motions, going through the same cycle. And when I got to point 4, the case number 4, I just started relaxing a little bit more, because I've realised that no matter what happened, at the end of each single allegation, at the end of every single thing that she'd put on me, I still got more than what I had before. And the judge kept giving me more. And then it got to the point where you end up with, like, it makes no odds, because doesn't it be about, it's not the piece of the court order is not worth the paper it's written on, ultimately. She's causing emotional harm, PA. So son, yeah, same as my daughter. My daughter's 14 now. She said that she wanted to live with me over summer holidays. We've got a shared care week on, week off agreement. No problem there. But my ex, not with my ex-wife, she hasn't followed the court order since one was put in place in 2013. Professionals don't get involved with it. They say it's a civil matter, go back to court. I've now promised my daughter that we'll be no longer making any more applications. She's 14. She's old enough to make her own mind up, but she has been manipulated over the years by her mum, who, frustratingly, for Lila, who doesn't realise it by now, but she'll never be able to please. She'll never be able to please her mum. Let's put it like that. Nothing she'll ever be able to do will ever be good enough. Yeah, she will get the fake stuff, and that's what she tells me. And she tells me that she'll only ever she does stuff. She does stuff, and she does extra cleaning and whatnot. She doesn't do much cleaning at all, not for her mum anyway. Because she's allowed to get away with stuff. But ultimately, that's their that's their relationship. And in the eyes of the professionals and the eyes of the law, my daughter is fine, because emotional and psychological abuse is difficult to prove. Parental alienation, they tried accusing me of it during the summer, and I was like, well, because my daughter and her are arguing all the time. You look at the phone when I'm telling my daughter to go back to her mum. I could have my daughter live with me now if I wanted to, but it would push my daughter away from me, because she loves her mum, and rightly so. But she's never going to be able to. She's never going to be able to do anything about it. So let's put it like this. Let me tell you this. During the summer, I was having a meeting with my daughter's social worker, and my daughter's got a bit of a tongue on her. Like, she's learned that from me, and she's learned it from her mum. We have to both take responsibility for what we've got, and ultimately, my daughter turned around and said to her mum, she loves me more than she loves her mum. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to hear, but that's not true. She doesn't love me more than she loves her mum. She was angry, and she reacted to her mum and something that her mum had said and done. And the social worker says to me, but it's not very nice that Lila said that. I said, you should be grateful. You should be grateful that my daughter's got the confidence to say that to her mum. because she says stuff to me, and it's about communication. If your mum, if her mum can't take on that feedback without abusing her, physically, psychologically, emotionally, then she doesn't deserve to be the mum. And there's nothing the social worker, but she says, but you don't know how it feels. You got angry at me. She got angry, but you don't know how it feels to be a woman. I don't know how it feels to be a woman, to feel that way. I know how it would feel to be a dad, and how it feels to be a dad, to not see your daughter that much. And then I said, so what? Yeah, they're giving them, what they're doing is now they're giving the support to my ex to make sure she can parent and control her emotions. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know. And it's wrong for me to probably comment or make a assumption about it, but all I know is that my daughter's happier, and she's respecting her mum, and her mum seems to be respecting her. So whatever work they were doing with the professionals has been working. Me on the sidelines, what about me? Because I'm just the man. I'm indispensable, but I'm invincible. That's the thing. Yeah, I'm invincible, and that's not a joke. So I'm seriously invincible. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, so that's one thing you need to be know. You need to know that social workers are will do anything to support the mum. Yeah, if you go to them with a problem, they will go to the mum and fix the problem with the mum and then brush it under the carpet. Yes, and in my case as well, like yours there, Mark, they're saying, for example, they know now when I moved back to they tried to arrest me and all sorts of stuff for harassment for my ex. I haven't spoken to her. I haven't spoken to her for 10 years unless it's been in a courtroom. And even then, it's not speaking to her. It's through a judge. Stuff was being said and done. They've gone and got paperwork. They've seen what the judge's findings have been on each of my cases over the years. And I said, please read them. Please do crack on. And they've left me alone since. They've left me alone because they can see what the issue is. The issue doesn't lie with me. The issue lies with unfortunately, her mum, and they can see that alienation is going on, but they can't do anything about it because if you take my daughter away from the mum, then my daughter loves her mum, and rightly so. So you're going to take my daughter away from her. That's going to hurt my daughter. It's going to impact my daughter in a negative way. Because as far as my daughter's concerned, there's no abuse. That's not abuse. The way that she's been told to deal with things, that's not. She's having to get through it. And that's exactly what you say. It's disgusting how we get. Yeah, it is disgusting. It is because we are unfortunately we're indispensable. We are, and you don't have to accept it, but you don't have to roll over and just be like that. And that's part of the reason why I do what I do, because I want to make sure that I help people not react in the way that we are instinctively set up and designed to react when we are going through the lies, the turmoil, the shit, the alienation. That is all very difficult to prove. I can't see how it can be allowed to come on. Never can I. But there's changes I've seen in the news. It's getting more recognised, and even like I can't say, so be careful. But I believe, and I totally believe that judges can see shit, right? And if you get really good self-representation, because you need to represent yourself, and you need to be able to talk and build a relationship with the judge, whether you get multiple judges or whether you get the same judge. Ideally, you'd have the same judge. That's happening in a few more cases now compared to what it's been since COVID. But it's still difficult to get the same one judge for the whole duration of the case. I'm sure it will get better. But ultimately, you need to build, as a litigating person, you need to build a relationship with the judge. And if it's multiple judges, they leave notes on their computer. Yeah, back in the day, it used to be feathers, the quills or whatever you call it. But I know for sure, 100% fact, that they can see everything about us on their computers. Anything to do with social services, they can see. Anything to do with police, I'm sure they can see. Because a personal experience happened when me and my ex-wife were last in court in 2020. My ex-wife was kicking off about something. She wanted me banned from Kidbrooke. She wanted me banned from going through the town. So I'm going to go straight back to her. And then I was asked it to go, my judge has asked for it to go straight back to her when it goes back to court. Good. So the judges are picking up on it because it's more and more, look, it's getting more and more spoken about. We are getting, but there's no repercussions. That's the problem. There's no repercussions. There's no repercussions. They can get proven to have no allegations upheld against them after like a 2-year non-molestation application. And then you can go to your finding of facts hearing and whatnot after all this crap. And then no allegations get upheld against the other party. And then they don't get upheld against yourself. Not that they don't get hold against yourself. But then because they've been proven that to be lying about you, there's still no repercussion for it. There's still nothing that goes wrong off the back of it. There's no slap on the wrist. Again, why can't they do that? Why can they not do that? Because you're not going to send a mum to prison. That's going to be detrimental to the child. But would you send a dad to prison? Probably would. I mean, there's a few more women going to prison for parental alienation and stuff. And it is getting much more recognised. Even as far as I know for a fact that judges will not tolerate solicitors. And I know for a fact that judges hate it when solicitors cause conflict within the parties that are there when there is no conflict. Because you then have to have the courage to tell the judge that that's what's happening and why you believe that's happening, and prove it with communication. Only communicate with the solicitors via email. Do not speak to the solicitors before going into court. They will criticise you when you get into court, because that's why you get the hour before court. Get to court before an hour beforehand to make sure that you can have your pre-court discussion when they call you 15 minutes before the court. And it's like, well, okay, well, why am I sat for an hour then? So I could have done this at home. I'm joking. But ultimately, you that's what you need to do. You don't. I wouldn't even answer the phone to them. That way, they can't slag you off in the court, because that's what we tried speaking, but he wouldn't speak to me. That's what they do. And then they'll try, because don't forget, they've got a job to do. They've got to make you look bad. They've got to make you feel bad, make you look like a waste of space. But that's why you can't act like a waste of space. I called you Harry Potter, but I had it all wrong. I have been listening. I've had it good. What do you mean Harry Potter? I don't understand. I called you Harry Potter, but I had it all wrong. I've been listening. I've had it good. I'm glad you've had it good, man. Good. Our judges asked to go back to court. I've heard that one. That's good. So ultimately, look, peace and love, man. There's nothing anyone can say to stress me out when you've got an ex-wife, when you've been through a lot of shit and you've been hurt and you're broken. You can't. There's nothing anyone could do that my ex-wife didn't do or hasn't done. Or when she stopped contact with my daughter through an allegation that I'd beaten her or dragged her down some stairs, I had to go through criminal stuff. Then I went through. I got found not guilty after trial, and then dragged her downstairs, and then ultimately I went back to normal. I went back home, saw my daughter for a week, and then next thing I know, I've gone and get my daughter from school, and I've got a non-molestation occupational order hit with, and then off the back of that, I had to move out of the house, my house, pay the rent mortgage for a few months, 6 months, while being homeless myself, while holding down work myself, and then went through the whole of the family court shit in the same way as I'd go through it all with criminal. And it's like, hang on a minute, I've been tried for this already. Why am I getting tried again? I've just been found not guilty in criminal court after trial. Well, because it's family, and so it's different. Okay, so I have to go through the whole shit again. So I was angry, and because I knew there's fuck all you can do off the back of that, you're going to stop me. I didn't know that there was going to be such a challenge in family courts for men at the time. But then is it really? Because if I wasn't behaving so bad because I had no one and had nothing, I bumped into Fathers for Justice and then Matt O'Connor. And as much as he's got his strengths, he's got his areas of opportunity like everybody. His shit stinks like everyone else too. And ultimately, he kept me angry. I remained angry. And while I remained angry, I was having no contact. I was not going to get any contact anyway, it's normal. But ultimately, I was going into court every time saying, can I see my daughter? Can I see my daughter? Can I see my daughter? No, you can't see your daughter. No, you can't see your daughter. They were telling me to get the C100 put through, all the way through that. Got to the end of my non-molestation. I was like, can I see my daughter now? They said, you haven't submitted the C100. What the hell? Oh, they're never telling me all the way through. But I was angry. I wasn't listening. And some of my court hearings, were just got rid of, because ultimately I wasted like an hour. Literally, I wasted an hour just like talking crap to judges and throwing things around like condoms with powder in them and shit. So purple powder. That's all the little stunts for Matt, and that was all this little stunts for Fathers for Justice. And what did it get me? What did it get me? Didn't get me any fucking help. Didn't get me my daughter. It got me threatened to not ever see my daughter again, and because I was behaving irrationally and I was behaving like a child and blah blah blah. I don't think I was. I was behaving Probably childish, yeah, but it was protest. It was protesting. It's not supposed to be fun for you, judge. But while I was doing that, I ended up delaying my whole process because I was acting like a dick because I wasn't controlling my emotions. So control your emotions, take responsibility. And that's another thing I believe. I believe that judges, family court, will and do get it right most times. I think they do get it right most times when it comes to certain aspects of things. You know you're not going to get contact if there's serious allegations, and if there's questions of doubt about your integrity, then that's going to impact what order you get given. Regardless of whether you agree or disagree, if you get given an order that you don't agree with, and then you're kicking off about that, and it's not the end of the case, and it's not the end of the case, and then so for example, I've had it where we've had an contact sorted, go to at the end of the first hearing, cool, go to the next hearing, and then contact's taken away from the dad. Why is it taken away from dad? That sounds so wrong. Why is dad going without contact? He has done nothing wrong. He's just a dad. He wants to be a dad. He hasn't caused any trouble. It's her causing trouble with him. He has witnesses to prove that. But then his dad's getting taken out of it. He's getting taken out of the equation. Why? Because he's a non-residing parent. Yeah, because if he was the residing parent, he would have to stay home with the child. And that doesn't work that way, though. Life doesn't work that way. Society doesn't work that way. And if it did, we wouldn't be moaning about shit, would we? But then if we weren't moaning about shit, we wouldn't be making money. Because I'll tell you, I learned recently the amount of money that goes into family courts, maybe not be from the people like the average Joe like me or you, or like some of you might be watching, or how can you put it? The world is tough right now. There's not much money around anywhere. And for people to sacrifice their time and money for anything, and I don't know. I just think the world is a nasty place, and to have an ex-partner making it even nastier, not just impacting you, because if you get your head around it all, ultimately, they can't hurt you. They can't. You let them because you're weak, and you believe that they have got a hold over you. And that's what they've made you believe. You're not weak, really. Ultimately, you're strong. You got to a point where you are now, and you think it's okay for them to be treating you the way they treat you. Crack on. Or you can defend it and say, and have an argument, or you can just say, you know what, live in your world. You live in your world. If you think that's okay for you over there in that world over there, you carry on and you stay like that. I'm living in my world. I'm going to live in my bubble, and I'm going to make sure that I bring no harm to anybody else. I'm going to make sure that I respect people. And you want to disrespect me? Fine, disrespect me. But I'm not playing your game. And that's what you need to do. Don't play the game. For years now, I've not responded to anything that my ex-partner has done or said to me. She will continue to make me be the bad person and everything, which is fine if that's how they feel. Again, I couldn't give a flying monkey because I know the truth in me. I know who I am, and I've got integrity. I think good man. That's what you got to do. You got to walk away. Sometimes you sort of accept that you can't argue with people. You can't. You're never going to win. I'm never going to win an argument with my ex-wife. And yes, that's where it comes from. Like my daughter during the summer was arguing with her mum and her mum's mum, and her mum's mum was saying that Lila wasn't allowed to tell her mum off. What? Of course, she's allowed to tell her mum when she's wrong. What makes her? Why is she not allowed to tell her mum when she's wrong? Her mum's made a mistake. She's wrong, and she owes her daughter an apology. Why didn't she want to tell her to say sorry? Because we've never heard her say sorry before. We've never heard my ex say sorry. Not once. Not once. Now, my daughter's heard her say it once. She's heard her say it once. Why has she heard her say it once? Because the social worker brought it up to her. The social worker said, I doesn't like hear you say da. Can you just say this so she can hear it? So that's what they do. Has she heard it since? No. And then you got the mum who's defending it all. You got the mum that defends it. It's like, what the falafels? You got dads, and this is what does my head in. This is what really does my head in when you got dads, and I get it. But I've told I'll never do the same thing for my daughter, and my daughter will never do the same thing as what her mum's doing because we've already had those conversations. But ultimately, where was I going with that? Where was it? I've gone that blank spot. Damn it! Her parents being told that. I've lost it. I'm sure it'll come back to me. It wasn't that important. But anyway, I meant to be having him a weekend over Christmas, but that's what they did. That's what they did. That's what they do. They did that to a few of my clients this week. I've had it done, whereby they've agreed something. There's court orders in place. They've agreed something. They put it in writing as you're supposed to. Evidence that, and then their solicitors are like, "Oh no, that's not what it means. That's not what it says." Oh no, not allowed to do that. Their solicitors, let's just reaffirm this in case any solicitors have come on since the last time I said it. They're scumbags. They're absolute scum. How they can sleep at night, I have no idea. Most of them are single, and if they're women, single women who are just fucking wanting dick but not wanting to fucking have a baby because they hate men that much that they want to ruin their lives. And this is the very same family law firms that actually oh, that's it. I want to come back to that. Yeah. I'll come back to that. Thank you. I'll come back to that. These are the very same family law firms that stop us from seeing our children. Have got on their websites how to cope with Christmas without your children. So her dad, you were saying. So basically, yeah. So her dad. So yeah. So I will never do what she's been through. But if you've got your ex-partner who's got a new man, and the man is letting her stop you from seeing your children and allowing that's no dad. For example, my ex's dad has passed away. My ex was very close to her dad. Is it because now that he's not here, that she's not allowing her daughter to have a relationship with her dad? No, because when he was alive, she still didn't let him have a relationship, or tried not to let him have a relationship with her dad, me. So it's not that. So, but she knows the value. She knows the value of her dad, my ex-wife. She knows the value of her dad. Why does she not allow her daughter the same right to her dad? Because she has her own personal agenda. But how would she feel if someone did that to her dad and didn't let my ex have a relationship with her dad and allow her to have that strong bond that she had before he passed? Why? How would she feel? But why can she not see that? Why can she not understand that? Why can she not understand that? Why can she not, my ex-wife, not see, oh, I've got I had a really good relationship with my dad. My daughter needs the same relationship with her dad. Why can't you can't get your head around it. I can't get my head around it. But then there's no point in me arguing about it, because as much as I tried arguing with that or pointing that out to her, it doesn't go anywhere. So you're left with yourself being like, oh, angry or frustrated and pissed off. And I can't let myself I don't get angry or pissed off or frustrated or anything anymore. I do actually, that's a lie. When the cat does a shit, then it doesn't go in the tray. That's when I get pissed off a little bit. And it's got like it had one of these collars on it, right? It had one of these collars on it, and it pulled some fur off, and now it just licks where the fur's gone, and now it's got a whole bald spot right down here. But yeah, that's side story. But that is true story. That's true story. What I've got is this harness thing on it, right? Put this harness on it, and so it stops it from licking itself, and it just goes miserable. Just like literally miserable, sides on the side, and it's like, I'm just going to lie here, and that's what it does. That's what it does. And I was going to say something really bad there, a really bad joke there, but I didn't. Do you see what I did there? I thought about what I was going to say before I said it. I was going to lie on the side there, have an imagine, and then think about the joke I was going to say. But I can't. I'm not going to go there because I'm being sensible. I know. So, look, week in the life of McKenzie Friend, me and my McKenzie Friend. That's me. I've had about 10 hours sleep, and I still look good like that. It looks terrible. Look, if you can, I look shocking. But I've got some typing to do now. I'm gonna do some typing now, because doing this for me is just like a release. It's like I'm celebrating the fact that we've had some really good results, or my clients have had some really good results, based on taking themselves out of their comfort zones and working on what they believe is achievable, and holding their own and doing that stuff. I think, Mark, thanks for your interactions, and thanks for everyone over there on TikTok for interacting and talking. I'm not really doing too much on TikTok in terms of lives and stuff, but I thought I'd do that there while I'm doing this on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else. So yeah, cool. So thanks for listening. Look, don't get stressed. Try to hold it all into proper. You know that they're going to be. If someone's winding you up, if someone's pressing your buttons, right, and it's like an ex-partner, and you know they're pressing your buttons, and you know that they're doing it for a reason, don't give them the reason. Don't play by their rules. Play by your own rules and make your rules. Have that moral high ground, and make sure that you're not lowering yourself down to those standards. And just bear this in mind: your children. My daughter my daughter just wants to see her parents get on. My daughter just wants to see her mum respect her dad, her dad respect her mum. I would still, and this is how bad it is. It's not bad. This is a good. This is for my daughter. I will protect my ex-wife still. If something bad was to happen to I was going to go get Lila or whatever, I saw my ex-wife being raped and pillaged, I would have to pause for a moment to really assess what was going on. But then once I've assessed that, for the sake of my daughter, I'd look at my daughter and she'd be panicked because my daughter loves her mum. I'd have to go and protect my ex-wife, and I would for my daughter. She wouldn't do the same for me. But then it's about teaching my daughter about what people should be doing in relationships, whether they're in a sexual relationship or they just have a friendship, or they're your ex-partners. And I want my daughter to make sure that she's going to have ex-boyfriends. And I want to make sure that if she ever has children, that she doesn't do what her mum's done. And I don't think she will, because I've already said that I won't support that with Lila. But I've also dealt with this sort of saying, that's what you're saying, with dads. I'm dealing with dads who, like me or you, little girls, are getting involved and supporting their children, their kids, their daughters, not have a relationship with their alien. They're supporting basically alienation. They're supporting alienation, and I get it because they're protecting their children and they're protecting their daughters as we would. But that's what got me thinking with my daughter. There's no way in the world I would condone or allow my daughter to alienate her ex-boyfriend unless it was paedophilia or they were seriously at serious risk. Then I'd be like, look, you don't get on with each other. You're separated, but your daughter or your son needs to have the right to make their own decision about them. Simple as that. You don't have to like him, but you have to respect him for your children. And that leads me to the point I was just saying a minute ago. Conflict, man, just stop. Just don't entertain it. Do not entertain it. They want conflict. They'll give you conflict. Solicitors will give you conflict because they want, the more conflict you have, less chance you're going to have of having a decent shared care order. And when I say shared care, equal time, because that's what obviously everyone wants, but it's not always easy to get that, especially if the location doesn't allow it, work doesn't allow it, blah, blah, blah. But you want to get as much as you can. So you need to minimize the conflict. Yeah. And just don't be the person they say you are. Control your mind. Don't let your mind control you. And if you want a book that helped me, is the Chimp Paradox. The Chimp Paradox changed how I perceive things. And I've got Bertie in my mind that whenever it's a little chimp, the ones with tambourines, you wind them up. Sometimes when it's all going off, and it's my mind is like, I want to say this, I want to say that, blah, blah. But I don't. I just walk away now. And sometimes when you say less, it's more powerful. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It says nothing, but it's really, really powerful by saying nothing. I'm definitely going to go now because that's it. It's definitely done my 60 minutes. And I just want to thank everyone for watching again. And I'm definitely going to go. So peace and love, Lila's glove. And this is Lila's glove because she's with me everywhere. Then not, isn't she? But then that's that. So I will go and peace and love and leave you all there. And peace and love and leave you all here. Thanks for watching over here. Yeah. How do I turn this off now? End.